So good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for joining today. Um, again, we will start with a short mindful breathing exercise to quiet our mind. Make yourself relaxed, comfortable, and bring your attention to the breath as you breathe in and out, watching it mindfully and being aware of that. Once your mind is settled down, calm, relaxed, try to generate positive motivation, intention about being here. We can think as long as we have those disturbing, afflicting emotions, such as anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, ignorance. No matter what we do, other things, we will always, no matter where we are, no matter with whom we are, no matter in what situation, circumstances, we will always find reason to be unhappy, dissatisfied, disturbed. If we don't have something, unhappy. And even we get what we want, again, after some time, we're unhappy, dissatisfied. Therefore, if we want to find true inner peace, lasting joy, happiness, sense of satisfactions, then we have to reduce and overcome those disturbing afflictive emotions. That is the only way. Other than that, trying to solve the problem by trying to change the external conditions, circumstances, we're only dealing with the symptom, not the actual problem, the root of the problem itself. In order to solve the pain, suffering, problem from the very root of it, we really need to work with our mind to reduce and overcome the delusions, those afflictive emotions. And to eliminate them permanently from the very root of it, then one need to cultivate the wisdom realizing the dependent arising emptiness. And in order to generate that wisdom, we need to contemplate, meditate correctly, continuously. And for that, we need to be reminded of the practice by continually studying, learning, listening, reflecting, contemplating. That is why we have come here together. May us coming here together, giving our precious time, energy, resource. May it become cause and conditions to generate that wisdom, realizing the dependent arisings, or at least have some imprint in our mind at the moment. And may it be cause and conditions to obtain our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So we can be not only help the greatest help and benefit, and not only for a few, but to each and every sentient beings equally. Okay. Sangye chedan choki chonam la chanchu patu dani kyapsu dagi jinso gi be chonam gi lola penje sangye duba sho sangye chedan choki chonam la chanchu patu dani kyapsu che dagi jinso gi be chonam gi Dola penje sangye dubash sangye chedan soge chonam la chanchu padu dane kyapsuj dagi jinso gibe chonam ge dola penje sangye dubash kanje duje nye sone dadam je bangbe se dambe chene tenje ba godam de la cha cha lom. So last Thursday we started discussing about this one verse from the sutras, all phenomena that originate from the causes. The Tathagata has taught those causes, and also that which put a stop to those causes. These two have been taught by the great Sharmana or the Buddha. So, in regard to that, so we talk about how all condition, outer phenomena, and condition inner phenomena, they all arises or come into existence by depending on multiple many cause and conditions. Not only they depend on cause and condition, but multiple cause and conditions. And how all these are dependent arisings. And so last week, last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we talked more on the outer dependent arisings. And in regard to the outer dependent arising, we talk about, as it is mentioned in the rice seedling sutras, all these condition, outer condition phenomena has cause, relation with the cause, and relation to the conditions. And we talk about that. So today we will kind of talk about the inner dependent arisings. And this verse that I just read is directly more related with the inner dependent arisings. So inner dependent arisings is, our experience in our life, whether it's pleasant experience, whether it's unpleasant experience. They do not arise or manifest without any cause. They all arise, manifest on depending on many causes and conditions. As we mentioned last time, just as like outer condition phenomena, not only it depends on just one cause or one condition, but multiple causes and conditions. many cause and conditions. So if we take, all the sufferings of aging and death, why there is aging and death, why we have to age, why we have to die, and then suffering that come from such death, grieving, the sorrow of grieving, through that kind of grieving, lamentation or cryings, due to that, the physical pain, mental tormented, despairs, and all others painful emotions that arises because of facing in death. Why we have to go through that? Why we experience that? Why we experience that? Why do we have to go through that? Is it a punishment? Is it some kind of punishment for something we did wrong, something we made a mistake? Is someone trying to punish us? Some kind of energy punishing us? So here the Buddha said there's no one who is punishing you for that. There's no one who is trying to punish you with that kind of pain and sufferings. If it is not being punished, then why? Why it happens? Why it happens? It happened because of cause and conditions. Because of cause and conditions. As simple as that. Because we create certain cause and conditions, due to that cause and conditions, then such result is experienced. Just like in outer phenomena. When you create certain cause and conditions, when you plant certain seed, and when that seed is met with other elements, the sixth element we talked at last time, all these conditions, then it produces certain result, certain fruit, certain flower, certain fruit. Or when there is certain cause and conditions, such as, fire, then it burns that, it dies. Or maybe there's frost, due to frozen conditions, then again, of course, there are many cause conditions that lead to the frozen. There are many cause conditions that lead to that fire, that burn or frost, that plant dies. The dying of that plant is not a punishment, nothing. It's just natural. Due to certain cause and conditions, the plants grow, and due to certain cause and conditions, it dies. We don't have any concept of there's something there, someone trying to punish for that. Why? Because we understand its cause and conditions. Same, not only is the external phenomena, it applied that reality, that fact, also apply to inner phenomena, inner world, inner experience. So therefore, the aging, such as aging and death, and the suffering from such aging and death arises because of their certain cause and conditions, you know. And so that is where then, what are that, the cause for, aging and death is because of samsara rebirth. As long as we have samsara rebirth, there's no way out from aging and death. As long as it's samsara rebirth, there's no way escaping from that. Aging and death is part of that. It's a natural process. That dependent arising. So therefore, because of that cause, samsara rebirth, therefore such result, aging and death. The aging and death is there, it arises. What make it, why we experience aging and death? Because of that particular cause, that particular cause. That is the samsara rebirth. Mhm. Why is there, why is, why do we have to, why is there samsara rebirth? Why do we have to have samsara rebirth? Can't it be end? Yes, it can be end if you don't create cause and conditions for such rebirth. But as long as there is cause and conditions, you continue to have such rebirth. That is how the law of cause and effect. That is the law of cause and effect. That's the functioning of law of cause and effect. So why do we have why have we samsara rebirth? You know, then because of the becoming, you know, when the karmic seed, when the throwing karmic seed is a karmic potential or seed that throw in the samsara rebirth. When that karmic seed is fully activated by other conditions, such as craving and grasping, and therefore all the cause and condition have come together that produce the such samsara rebirth because of that, the link of the becoming. Just like an external phenomena, the becoming doesn't think I'm going to produce samsara rebirth, nor the samsara rebirth think I'm being produced by the becoming. But such rebirth is produced because the cause and conditions have come together to produce such a result. And when so that result arises because of cause and condition coming together. When such cause and condition come together, it produces certain result. So it is the functioning of cause and effect. It's important to understand that. If we don't understand that, if we don't understand that, on deeper level, then when we face lots of challenges, problem, sufferings, pain, then we started to caution so many things, doubt our faith, doubt our practice, doubt the Buddhas, protectors, bodhisattvas, gurus, where are they? Do you get it? Where are they to protect me, to save me from all these experiences? Where is the Dharma? You know, so all this. But if you understand the cause and condition as is described, and not only is it described, that is the reality. If, as we mentioned, as we discussed last time with the outer phenomena, and that apply not just for the outer phenomena, it also applies same functioning, same things apply to the inner phenomena. And when you really deeply understand, profoundly understand, then you don't have such doubt, you don't have such cautions. You know that is experiencing because of certain cause and conditions that have been created. you know. Then we don't caution why it is happening to me, my family, here and there. Why me? Feeling like being unjustic. Why me, my family? Why it is happening to me, my family? It shouldn't happen. Feel like something injustice being done. Feel like something you have been punished for some things. That is because we haven't understood that depending arising on, on profound depth level. If we really understood the dependent arising on the profound depth level, we wouldn't have those such caution and doubt. We will be able to accept because of certain cause and condition. That is why it is happening. Because certain cause and conditions, that is why it is happening. And we'll talk more about that, the cause and conditions, as I mentioned last time, you know. Multiple cause and conditions, past, present. And so, and same thing, why there is becoming, why there is becoming, you know. And then, because of the, you know, that karmic seed, that karmic seed, that throwing karmic seed as fully being potentialized to produce such rebirth is because of moisturized. That seed has been moistured by the grasping and craving, the 9 and 8 link. Due to that craving and grasping, then that seed has been watered, moisturized, and so get all the condition that need for that karmic seed to produce the sprout of the rebirth. So when all these conditions have come together, praying that the sprout of rebirth, not to manifest, you cannot stop just by wishing, just praying. When the cause and condition come together, when there is a fire burning next there, when there is a wind, is not wishing and praying that it doesn't stop that. You have to stop the conditions, cause and conditions. It follow the cause and condition. It doesn't necessarily just follow what we wish, what we want. Mm. So because of that craving and grasping, and why there is grasping, because of craving. The craving, the attachment, the craving. When you don't apply the antidote, and when you are unable to overcome it, then it becomes stronger, intensify, and that becomes grasping. The craving becomes grasping. Because we didn't apply the remedies, or unable to apply the remedy and stop it, and so that craving become more stronger and more intensify, and then becoming stronger, grasping and clinging, and that become grasping. And so grasping because of the craving. Why is there craving? Because of the feelings. The sensation feelings. Why there's a feeling? Because of the contact with the objects. Due to the consciousness coming in the contact with the objects, and then different feeling arises. The feeling comes because of context, because of that cause, because of contact, the consciousness being in contact with the objects. Therefore, it produces result of feeling. And due to having that feeling, then when we have not overcome our craving, then that produces craving. We have not overcome craving, we still have craving, and then we come in contact with the objects, and due to coming the objects, then you have pleasant feeling, then you have craving for that feelings arising from that, for example. And why there is contact with the objects? Because of sense faculties. If there isn't, sense faculties. If there wasn't sense faculty, the consciousness will not be able to experience the object by itself. But through the support and help of the sense faculty, then consciousness is able to, come into contact with the objects. Therefore, if there is some damage to your sense faculty, then your eye consciousness cannot perceive the objects, shape, color, and so forth. Your eye consciousness is unable to function. Why it is unable to function? Because there is some damage in the eye sense faculties. And so the eye consciousness, to be able to function and perceive the object, you have to perceive through the sense faculties, eye sense faculties. So because of that sense faculty, then the eye consciousness perceive the object, come in contact because of the, sense faculties. How does sense faculty arise? Where does it come from? Because of the name and form. Because of name and form. Because when you take a new rebirth during the conceptions, at the time of conceptions, then the embryo or sperm and eggs of the parent and the consciousness that enter in that, because of that, due to that, embryo, then slowly, over the, weeks, months, then it develops those sense faculties. from that basis. Where does that name and form come from? Why is that name and form? Because of the consciousness. The third, because of consciousness. Because there is a consciousness that is carrying that karmic seed. Because there is a consciousness that carried that karmic seed, and then when that seed is being activated, moisturized, I mentioned, then that give, the name and form. And why is there the consciousness that carried the karmic seed, throwing karmic seed? Because of formation of the karma, because we have created certain action, karma. And the moment we create that karma or the actions, then immediately imprint is left or planted in that consciousness. If there was no karma or actions created, then there's nothing to be planted in that consciousness that carry it. And so therefore that consciousness there, because of that karma or actions or formations, whether it's a negative karma or whether it's contaminated karma. Because those are the negative karma and the contamination karma are the cause of, samsara rebirth. Why is there these karmic formations? Why is there karmic formation? Where does the karmic formation come from? Because of the ignorance. Because of the ignorance. Due to the ignorance, then, then we create the karma, we engage in the actions, either negative karma or even we create in positive karma, still it's contaminated karma. And it's contaminated because of that ignorance, because of that ignorance. Therefore, it all starts with the first link of the 12-fold dependent arising. 12 link of dependent arisings. That's where often on that original prompt, Tathagata has taught the causes of such, experience of suffering of aging and death and all other comes, led by preceding different causes, and back to the very root of all these causes is the ignorance. The ignorance. That is what Tathagata, the Buddha said. That is what Buddha point out. From that. That is what Buddha has point out. Due to the ignorance, then we create the karma, contaminated karma. We engage in action in that moment, the very moment, that actions or the karma seed is planted in the consciousness, planted or, in the consciousness. And the consciousness carry that throwing karma. At the time of death, that karmic seed is activated and moisturized by the craving and grasping, and then it fully potentialized and it becoming. And then the next, after the death, then, the 6 results are experienced, name and form, the six senses, contact, feeling, birth, aging, and death, then all the other suffering that come through because of the aging and death. That is what, and also that which put a stop to those causes. This too has been taught by the great, Shamana. So again, not only Buddha point out what are the cause of all these sufferings, but he also taught how to end those sufferings. He also taught the path, the practice, how to end all this, the suffering of aging and death, and all the suffering, other sufferings that come through because of the aging and death. How we can end that by stopping the cause of that. So how we can end, the suffering of, grieving, the pain of grieving, limitation of crying, the pain, physical pain, mental, emotional pain, all other pain that we go through because of death of someone dear to us, close to us, or because of death of ourselves, or because of death of someone, because of that aging and death. We can end all this suffering if we can stop the cause of such aging and death. If we can stop, that is samsara rebirth. If there is no more samsara rebirth, there is no more death. There's no more aging and death. As long as there is samsara rebirth, there's always aging and death. As long as you stop samsara rebirth, there's no more aging and death. That is the end of the, continuous, endless birth and death. How can we stop the samsara rebirth? By stopping, by ending the becoming. How can we stop the becoming? We cease the becoming when there is no more grasping that activate that karmic seed, that moisturize that karmic seed. How can we stop that grasping that activate the karmic seed? If we stop the craving. Grasping is the extensions or the intensifying of that craving. How can we stop the craving? If we can stop the feelings, the samsaric feelings, the samsaric feelings. How can you stop the samsaric feeling and then coming into contact with the objects? How can we stop coming in how can we cease, the contact by ceasing the sense faculty that allow the consciousness to come in contact with the objects? How can we cease that such, six sense faculties? Then we can stop that by stopping name and form. When there is no more name and form, then there is nothing from that, from week and months that develop that sense faculties. How can we stop such, name and form? By stopping the consciousness that carry that karmic seed. How can we stop that? Then we stop by stopping the formation, karmic formation, by stopping creating karma, contaminated karma. If there's no more creating karma, there's no seed to be planted in the consciousness. And if there is no more of that, then how can we stop creating karmic formation? By stopping the ignorance. By stopping the ignorance. So that is what it here. It means also that we put stop to these causes one by one, coming back to the ignorance, the very root of all the causes. This too has been taught by the great Savana, how to do that. And how can we stop that ignorance is through understanding, realizations of dependent arising, emptiness. How can we stop that ignorance? That is the root of all this, the root of everything by cultivating the wisdom, realizing the emptiness, dependent arising. So again, this is so we experience so much sufferings, such as suffering of aging, suffering of death, suffering of sickness, and all other sufferings from the birth until the death. Why we do suffer? Because of such samsara rebirth. Because of such samsara rebirth. Because of such samsara rebirth. So when we understand that, all this suffering arising from samsara rebirth, which is rooted in the ignorance, karma, ignorance, and all other delusions, as a craving, grasping in that, there is no one to blame for our pain and sufferings. There's no someone else to blame for that. When you truly understand that, when we understand that, we don't point our finger outside, we point the finger inside. At the moment, whenever any problem, sufferings that arises, immediately is that we try to point the finger to somewhere else outside. Always somewhere outside. Immediate reactions, immediate feeling, pointing somewhere there, outside, externally. That clearly is an indication that we haven't understood such dependent arising deeply, profoundly. It's a clear sign. If we understand deeply, instead of pointing the finger out, we'll start with insight. My karma, my delusions, due to my previous karma, due to my delusions, such as ignorance and that, craving and grasping. That is why, due to those cause and conditions, it's not someone else, it's not there is someone powerful agency there who is trying to punish us. It is just cause and conditions. It's just cause and condition coming together. then there's no reason to get upset to anyone. There's no reason to get upset to anyone. Because it's just a result of certain cause and condition coming together that produce certain result. Just as simple as that. It's due to coming certain cause and conditions. And then, yeah, it produce certain result. Nor ignorance, think I'm going to produce karmic formations. Nor the karmic formation, think I'm being produced by the ignorance. Nor the karmic formation and ignorance, think that I'm going to produce consciousness that carry the karmic seed. Nor the consciousness, think that I'm being produced by the karmic formation. Nor those three of things, nor those three causes, think that I'm going to produce some sort of rebirth, nor the some sort of rebirth think that I'm being produced by them. But it is by coming together of those cause and conditions, such results are being produced. Such results being produced because of certain cause and conditions coming together. That is it. So as I mentioned, last week on Thursday, in relation to the outer phenomena, preceding cause and immediate conditions. Similarly here, preceding cause, immediate conditions. They both play the role in producing the result. Let's take an example of some sort of rebirth. It's not just a karma. Do you get it? It's not just a karma. Karma is the second link, the karmic formations. It's not just that one. Sometimes we just point, as I mentioned last time, sometimes even though there's multiple cause and condition, we tend to just pick up just one cause. When there are multiple cause and conditions. There's karmic formations, and there's because of karmic formations is because there is ignorance. Those are the cause, And if there's no consciousness that carry that karmic potential, that will be a problem. But there is a consciousness that carry the karmic seed. Let's say there is something, bad things, pollutions, and that we carry by the rivers. If there wasn't a river, that wouldn't have the effect if it wasn't carried there. But then there is the river that carries, so therefore then again, the poisonous flow and continue and all the damage that it does. So, therefore all this play a role. And even there is a throwing karmic seed in the field of the consciousness. If you have no more craving and grasping, that karmic seed cannot be activated. It's like a seed that never gets moisture. Do you get it? If there is a seed that never gets moisture and which need moisture to grow, it will never produce any plant from that. It will not be able to produce any result from that. So immediately, not only past karmic seed there, but then immediately to activate, moisturize that seed, then craving and grasping at the conditions. So from one good, maybe we can say positive, is that even there is billions and billions of so many negative, billion, trillion karmic seed in our consciousness, throwing karmic seeds, let's say in the lower rebirth, even there's a billion, trillions, or even in samsara, which we have not been able to purify. If we can stop craving and grasping, all this seed will be useless. All this seed will be useless. All this throwing karmic seed will never be able to throw any samsara rebirth. It will not be able to produce or throw samsara rebirth. Why? Because all this throwing karma or projecting karmic seed will never get the moisture that it needs to produce that. And I think also that can help us to, in some way, sometimes we wonder, can we really purify all the karma we have created from beginner's lifetime? Do you get it? Sometimes we wonder, can we really purify? How can we purify all of that? And if we cannot purify, then there's no way then experience it. But again, with this 12 link understanding and dependent arising, we know that if we can stop, if we can eliminate craving and grasping, then all this seed will be useless. A seed that can never produce the result because it never gets the water moisture. Mm. So just as we differentiate with the outer phenomenal cause and conditions, okay? Cause being the seed and the condition being the other elements, water, the element of the water, earth, fire, wind, space, season, like that, which are more kind of immediate conditions. So it requires both, And with each of those elements, again, there are many cause and conditions that produce each of those elements, So it can be endless, almost like endless cause and conditions. Seed is depending on so many cause and conditions. Just the seed itself to produce that seed, many causes and conditions. Water elements depend on many causes and conditions. The fire element depend on many causes and conditions. Each of those elements depend on many causes and conditions. So when you think in that way, then it's kind of almost like kind of endless, limitless cause and conditions coming together. Similarly, same with our inner phenomena, our inner world, our inner experiences. Mm. And not only is, past karmic seed or karmic potentials, like the seed, past karmic seed or the potentials, but it requires, it's not just enough, just that by itself to produce the result. It requires many cause, immediate cause and conditions. In terms of the rebirth, samsara rebirth, the craving, grasping, becoming, all this play a role. Even in terms of craving, with each of them, it depends on many causes and conditions. In terms of craving itself, the grasping itself, how does that craving arises? How does that grasping arises? Depending on many causes and conditions. Due to our ignorance, is one of the cause. Not having the remedy is another cause conditions. Due to not being mindful is another cause and condition. Sometimes if we are mindful, maybe we might be able to stop from arising or becoming too strong, or not having the right remedy, antidotes would be another reason why there's craving to begin with, and then that craving to become intensify and becoming graspings. Depending on our state of mind that time, how we perceive the objects, how we interpret the objects. If our mind started to perceive that as something, beautiful, pleasant, good, something that I need it, something that would be, I must have, all of that, our mind project, into the object. The way we project, the way our mind projects, how we project, that also has influence, that also cause for the attachment, craving to arises. So all these are immediate cause and conditions, so many immediate cause and conditions. Do you see the influence and cause and condition there? So therefore, and not only the samsara rebirth, all our suffering and pain is like that. There's past cause, such as karmic seed, karmic potential, but also there is immediate conditions. And we cannot neglect either of them, or we cannot kind of ignore either of them. And as I mentioned, I think maybe last week, might have mentioned, sometimes we tend to go of course, among, um, people's, who doesn't believe past past life, future life, who are more materialistic, then they only believe in immediate cause and conditions. They believe only in immediate cause and conditions for all the suffering, pain, whatever happens. They totally kind of disregard the past karmic potentials, the past karmic seed, the cause of that. And then sometime among the practitioners, who believe in karma, whether it's a Buddhist practitioner or whether it's some other school of thoughts who believe in karma, sometimes there is a tendency to see, again, disregarding the immediate cause and conditions and just always saying, it's the past karma. Do you get it? Just it's karma, karma. But totally disregarding the immediate cause and condition that play a role in the ripening of that karmic seed. I feel both are wrong. There is involvement of karmic seed, past karmic seed or potential, as well as immediate cause and conditions. Sometimes, blaming the karma, sometimes it might be a, excuse to not take a responsibility of our present actions. It could be, because definitely the past karmic seed is involved. No doubt there's past karmic seed potential involved, but also there is a immediate cause and condition that is involved too, to ripening of that karma. So you cannot just kind of, make this so easy in that way is karma, and then totally kind of disregarding the responsibility, present responsibility of our present actions and behavior and so forth. Also, sometimes, based on that kind of belief, then you think, because I'm experiencing the result of past karma, there's nothing I can do now to stop from experiencing that, which is also not true. By changing immediate cause and conditions, you can stop that pain from becoming stronger, unbearable. You might be able to end there, or even you cannot end completely. You can make it by changing the cause and condition, immediate cause and conditions, You can change the experience to certain degrees in some levels. That is what make possible to change our karma or karmic result and change our experience. If everything is just karma, just following that, then we have everything predetermined, fixed. You just follow. In that cases, you don't have any choice, but we have choice. What we experience, how we live out, whether we are going to have miserable life or whether we are going to have more happy life in this life, regardless of whatever karmic seed we are carrying from the past. Even though you might be carrying so much negative karmic seed from past, by, changing your behavior, your mindset, your perception, your attitude in this life, immediately you can change your experience, you know. So I think again that is another important factor that we have to take in and be aware and realize that, you know. Yeah, so that is immediate cause and conditions. Talking about that, you know. So so is understanding, recognizing multiple cause and conditions, multiple cause condition, immediate cause and conditions. By changing the by changing any of those, whether it's a past karma, we can change past karma by through purification, different practices. We can get rid of them, you know, or we can change immediate cause and conditions. By changing immediate cause and conditions, then we don't give any opportunity that karmic seed to arise. Or if it has already arise, for it not to continue. It's like the plant has already grown, but then you stop giving water and it will slowly die, you know. But if you keep giving water, then it will become bigger and bigger, you know. So again, even something that is already, the plant has already produced, the seed has already produced a plant, still there is, if we continue to, whether continue to give it moisture and other cause and conditions for it to grow stronger and bigger, or stop from growing it further. So, and I think I feel it's important to really understand that, um, because it seems like sometimes people become very discouraged when they think, oh, you know, I must have something bad. I've done something bad and it's my karma. And so there is nothing I can do about it, you know, being discouraged or not putting effort to change it, you know, by changing your immediate conditions. So in that Rice Seedling Sutras, in terms of those different cause conditions, how it, play a role is said, that it give you example, the consciousness being like the seed, and then the karmic formation being the field, and then the ignorance, being like the farmer, sower, the someone who sowed the seed, and then craving and grasping like the moisture and like such as water and so forth. So again, just as that is how it works in external phenomena, that is in internal phenomena, that's how it works. And so through that cause and conditions, dependent arising, to that dependent arising, then I think, yeah, understanding there is no permanent self, there is no permanent cause, there's no permanent, um, because the self is dependent arise, dependent on cause and conditions. Something that is dependent on cause and conditions, cannot be permanent, is impermanent. There's no self, permanent self. The grasping of permanent self, is totally ignorant. mistaking, as well as grasping of self to exist by itself, by its own side, or by its own power, or by itself, meaning not depending on other conditions and factors. That's what it means, depending by itself. If the self exists by depending on other factors, cause and condition, then it cannot exist by itself, because it exists by depending on other cause and conditions, other factors. And therefore, grasping the self to exist by itself, by its own power, by its own entity, is totally mistaken and ignorance. And so when you have realization of dependent arising, then you have understanding, realization of the self and all phenomena, all conditioned phenomena, and all phenomena existing by depending on other factors, conditions, and therefore they could not exist by itself, by its own entity, by itself. And that understanding or realization will then act as a remedy, antidote for that mistaken mind or the ignorance. And that will end then creating more contaminated karma. And when there's no more contaminated karma created, then there is no more samsara rebirth because of such contaminated karma. If there is no more samsara rebirth, then there is no more sickness, aging, and death, and all the suffering that come in or afterward that. And so then that is that come to the end, to the suffering, And that is how one can end the suffering permanently. Okay, so I think maybe that is the kind of meaning of that one verse that is one verse, but it contains very important points of the teachings. Okay, so if there is questions, I can take a couple of questions, whether in person or whether in people who are on the Zoom. Most welcome.
Yes, Geshe live. Yes, Geshe live.
Yeah. I didn't hear.
Yes. We need better causes and conditions.
To hear that?
Yes. So my question is, in the Prasangika, they talk about, so from life to life, the subtle consciousness, the clear light consciousness travels.
Mm-hmm.
How does it carry all these bakshas on it, the karmic formations? How does it carry them according to the Prasangika school?
Prasangika school of thoughts, they will say the merely labeled self will be carrying that karmic seed. There is a merely labeled self that continue from one life to another life. And that will be the one that is carrying the karmic seed. So
I'm getting turned off. It carries the karmic seed, but how does it carry it? Because it's clear light consciousness. On what method is it that actually carries it? Merely imputed
I don't know whether from the Sutra Prasangika point of view, I don't think they will say clear light minds,
No.
because that come from more Vajrayana point of view. Okay. But of course, maybe if you talk from Vajrayana point of view, it is that consciousness. But if you talk from the Sudarayana point of view, the Prasangika, there is no explanation of clear light mind, from the Sutra point of view. But definitely from Tantric point of view, is a clear light mind that, again, just like, let's say, where there is, let's say, one of the examples, that you find is like a golden Buddha statue, or it can be just any kind of gold, that is being muddy, and then that can carry that mud with that, as long as that gold someone carry until someone cleans and that. So that gold or golden statues, even though it's been muddy, is carrying mud, but it is not muddy or polluted in its nature. Therefore, it can be cleansed later, and then it can be cleansed and clear of that mud. So even though it is not being muddy or polluted in its nature, but it can be polluted and it can carry. Similarly, the clear light mind, in that nature, those delusions or the karmic seed are not in the nature of that mind, because it's a clear light mind. It is not in the nature of that mind, but at the same time, just like that gold or gold statues can be muddy and carry on that, it can be carried like that way. So therefore, the clear light mind can be clear of all these karmic seed and delusions, because even though it is diluted and muddy by those things at the moment, but it's not in its nature, just like that gold. And so, of course, like in Uttaraka Tantra, by Matthew, he gave many examples of that, and that is one of the examples of the Buddha nature. Simply when you talk from Sutta, we call Buddha nature. Maybe if you go in Tantra, clear light minds. So that's how it is not polluted in its nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Geshe, I have a follow-up question to Chuck's. So sometimes there is a concept, I think is sometimes translated as disintegratedness, Shikpa, I think in Tibetan. So has that got to do with karma? Or can Geshe explain something about that? I don't really understand that concept.
And that, I don't know, disintegrate or the Shikpa, is that what make it continue? Whether it's the merely level self, or whether it's the clear light mind, what make it continue is that moment by moment it disintegrate, and that lead to the next, that give kind of rise to the next one, and that disintegrate, and that is how it. So of course there is debate whether that disintegrated or Shikpa is permanent, impermanent, and Prasangika say is impermanent, or functioning phenomena, or impermanent, because the previous Shikpa or disintegrated give rise to the next Shikpa, and because of that, next shikpa or disintegrate lead to the next. And so that is like being passed. It is the, whether it's the merely level self or whether it's a clear light mind, is like a cup being passed from one to another being. I passed there, he passed there. It's like that. So one continuity, the previous moment, disintegrate, and that give continuity to the next continuity, and that disintegrate and that give rise to the next continuity. In that way, that is how it continue, and that is how it carries. So therefore, so that is what the shikpa was. Then we can do the dedications. Chanjo sem choren bo che ma ke pa na ke kyo che ke wa nyam pa me pa ya kong le kong tu pe wa sho. Yeah, we can do that. Due to all the past, present, and future merit collected by me and all the merits of 3 times collected by numberless Buddhas and numberless sentient beings, may the Bodhisattva be generated in the hearts of all sentient beings of the 6 realms, especially in the heart of everyone in this world, including all the students, benefactors, and volunteers in the FMD organization. May it be generated in the heart of all those who rely upon me, all those whom I have promised to pray, and all those whose name has been given to me. May it be generated in my heart and the heart of all my family members, those who are living and those who have died. May the bodhisattva that has already been generated increase. Hari rawe korwe shinkam de pendang dewa malu chungwe ne chere senwa tenze gyatso ye shape sute padu tengyo. We also dedicate all the virtues for the swift return of the Lama Sabha Rinpoche, so that we can continue to meet, continue to receive the nectar of the teaching, instruction, advice, and guidance and care in our spiritual path until we achieve enlightenment. Yawadi nyo do ta lama sangye do gyo ne do chi kyang ma le pa te sa la we pa yo. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you.